Hello, welcome to the Gab Juls Show. No Gab Marketing, so look who's come down to be here with me. Nedum Onuoha, thank you so much, my man, to be here. Loads of things happen this weekend on the field, off the field as well. We had the World Cup draw, for example. We had a lot of big games in England, in Germany, in Spain, everywhere in Europe. But really, we have to start at Ellen Road and at Leeds. Not so much yet for the Leeds-Liverpool draw, another disappointing performance and result overall for Liverpool. But for what happened after in the mix zone and that Mo Salah interview.
Absolutely, yeah. By the way, we need to mention the World Cup draw is probably just about finished now. 3-4 days later.
Thank you guys for drawing all those goals.
Yeah, thank you. But yeah, what a
bombshell? Would you say bombshell moment? How would you qualify it?
I would say bombshell, yeah. I think people were trying to use bombshell. And the reason it's significant is because for many people, in my opinion, they now have an idea of what the mix zone is. Because usually, like as a player, you have to walk through this area where all the written journalists and stuff are. But you usually just walk through with your headphones on, sometimes play music, sometimes not.
Yeah.
But if you're going in there and you're choosing to stop, you're choosing to stop for a reason. Because you don't have to do it. Yeah.
Exactly.
So
and you don't want to do it usually.
You don't. Nobody wants to say anything usually. Like most of the time when we see interviews, it's because people have to do it.
Yeah.
But in this instance, not having to do it, and the word was, I think it was Beth on FC was saying that as Slot was doing his press conference, that's when Salah was doing his thing at the same time.
Exactly, at the same time.
And then as soon as Salah had said what he said, everybody starts picking it up.
Yeah.
So why did Mo Salah feel he needed to do that? Do you
understand his frustration as a former player of being on the bench 3 games in a row and not being used to it?
Yeah, absolutely. He's 100% not used to it because he's been one of the most significant players in probably Liverpool's history, not just like recent years. So I understand his frustration, but I'll ask you the question. If you wanted to make a point, would you rather make it to the manager in private or out in the open? What would you do?
I think he should always be in private. But remember, this is a guy when he wanted a new contract last season and he was doing well, he kept popping up in all those post-match interviews and saying like, hey, I haven't heard from the club, I'm done this, but I would like to stay, but you never know, you don't know, he might be mad. He was very vocal and when he wanted to be. Then when he was not doing well and Liverpool were not doing well, we didn't hear anything from him. And then suddenly, because he's on the bench and he's not happy, he comes out and at a time where the club is struggling, the team is struggling, where you really should be supportive more than in a very selfish way thinking about yourself, then he comes out and drop that on them.
Which of the players of his status at Liverpool have been on the bench for 3 games in a row this season?
None.
So do you think...
But do you remember any player of his caliber on the back of not that long ago, he was receiving the player of the year for last season.
Yeah.
To come out and do and say things like that.
No, I personally, I wouldn't want him to come out and say that in the mix zone. Yeah. I wouldn't want him to do that. I think there's something to be said about trying to express those emotions in private. And in fairness, we don't know if he's said that in private as well.
Yeah, true.
I think the biggest thing for Liverpool now is if they were off yesterday, for example, is how have they dealt with things today? As Salah parks his car up at the training ground, is the first thing he's got to do.
They're traveling to Milan today to play Inter tomorrow.
So they must have trained yesterday. So after you say the words that you say after the game, in fact, they're getting on a team bus together afterwards.
Yeah.
Salah's done that and he's decided, in my mind, that he doesn't care anymore. He's prepared to put this out into the open.
Yeah.
And whatever comes from it, he's ready for it. Maybe some of that's because he knows in a week he's going away.
Yeah.
Maybe,
which it is.
Yeah. Maybe. Maybe less than a week now. Who knows? But I understand his frustration in some ways, just because, I think we were speaking just before it happened. And I said, I bet he feels like he's being made a scapegoat. And then, as if by magic, here comes the quote. Look at me, Salah's publicist. But I get it because.
But nobody has said he was a scapegoat, though. So that comes from his own head.
No, I think so. I think let's scoot back a month when Liverpool weren't doing great, and people are having discussions about Salah needs to be dropped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So when he then ends up on the bench.
Yeah,
I think it's always important to not just live and die by any particular moment, to look at, take a bit of a wider look back at things. And I think that's probably where it comes from, because he won't be somebody that say not online or whatever. He would hear what people think.
True.
Because sometimes it's from prominent people who are on our airwaves and so on.
Ex-players and
exactly.
Things.
So I think the club would have known, or the players would have known, something needs to change. And if Salah's the one that's on the bench now for 3 games in a row, and as you mentioned, he's not come on for a single minute in 2 of those games, Like, if you were him, how would you not think you're a scapegoat?
True, but then, okay, so fair, okay, if he's a scapegoat, would you publicly say like he did?
I wouldn't.
That in the players' union, where do you stand? Is it selfish? Is it unacceptable from him?
I think I'm going to say something. I'm going to caveat this, yeah. For me, I think it's selfish.
Yeah.
But he's also played to a higher level and more significant level than I've ever seen before in my time.
Yeah.
So I don't know how I would be thinking if I was in his exact situation. Because for him to be the best that he ever has been, has it been down to sort of like the team mindset? Probably not. It's been him driving himself as an individual.
Yeah.
So the team can go through what the team goes through, but he obviously has his place and his thoughts about himself and his situation.
Yeah.
So personally, I'd be disappointed because ultimately it's another issue. I think it was described as airing out your dirty laundry. This is another situation that you have to deal with because Slot knows, say when he's doing his next press conference, not only does he have to talk about the game that's to come, the game that's been, but now you have to talk about Mo Salah and why he's on the bench.
Yeah.
But what do you do next? Do you start Salah? Do you bench Salah? Do you drop Salah?
That's a great question.
Do you find Salah?
I know.
Do you make up with Salah? Like, somebody's going to be having an apology very, very, very soon.
Absolutely.
And it's either going to be with Slot picking him, or it's going to be with Salah saying he's made the wrong decision.
Those are all great questions. We will answer them all on the Gab Juls podcast. So make sure you download that and listen to that. We will go through all the point that Mo Salah makes, and also saying that come back a little bit on that Leeds Liverpool 3-3 draw, which for them would feel like a setback. Right, Nate, let's continue this incredible Salah chat and the reaction of this. That still, even if he said it on Saturday evening after the game, and we're recording this on Monday morning, so there's still very much like the biggest news really in English football, I would say. Arne Slot will have a press conference on Monday evening, so we haven't heard from him yet on what Salah said. Like you said earlier, surely he will be asked about his opinion, his reaction, and what. But before we go through the kind of Salah statement again, point by point, there's a few things I want to ask you about what he said. To answer the questions that you ask, if you were Arne Slot, or Richard Hughes, or Michael Edwards, or the Liverpool hierarchy, the owners, whatever, Virgil van Dijk, your club captain, what's next then? Can he really play again for Liverpool? Personally, I don't think so. I think there's AFCON in a week, so he was going to go anyway.
Yeah.
There's the game against Inter Milan on Tuesday. There's a game against Brighton in the league at Anfield on Saturday. Is it a question of we won't see him not even in the squad for those two games? Is he going to be on the bench? Is he going to start? Will they make peace? What do you think is going to happen? Or what would you do?
If I was Arne Slot, and this is like coming from a rigidly principled position. Yeah. I don't think I can even have him training, let alone be in the squad, if he thinks that's the way that it needs to be. Just for the message it sends, because if he is in some ways, he can come out and apologise, but I still think there needs to be a level of discipline that comes with it.
Sure.
Because you're trying to send a message and set the tone for everybody else. And if you end up having a rule for one and rules for others, I think it kind of misses the point. And so for him to Salah's come out and speak the way that he spoke, and whether, that's his perspective, he will be 100% right in his perspective to him always.
Yeah.
But the way in which you want the club to operate is where players will not do that if they feel that they should be playing games of football. Because if he does it and the next person does it and the next person does it, like, are you bigger than the club in itself? So we're trapped in that sort of like murky area.
And we know the answer is no.
Yeah, it should be no. It should be no.
It should be no.
It should be no.
Yeah.
And I've just had a flashback actually. How different, obviously some of the words are different, but how different is this to Ronaldo having an interview with Piers Morgan in 2022, just before he went to the World Cup with Portugal?
After him and United kind of parted ways.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's very similar.
He was still at United at the time, though, wasn't he?
He was, and he'd been benched as well.
Exactly. So I think I don't think you can play him. I think even if he apologises, for me, I think it'd probably be easier to say to him, you can go to AFCON earlier if you need to. It's in some ways it's a fortunate thing for Liverpool to have that there. I think it's fortunate for Salah that he knows he's going away in 7 days.
Yeah.
I think for Liverpool it's fortunate they can try and move away from this issue in such a short space of time as well.
It's probably a good thing that they're playing so quickly after too.
Well, you say that, but it depends because they might get their teeth kicked in as well.
Yeah,
and
true.
That's the problem.
But at least you move away a little bit from. I guess no.
You will always talk about it. He's so big. You'll always talk about him.
He's too big. He's
too big to ignore. The only way you wouldn't talk about Salah is if he was injured. But if he's available and he doesn't play, that's always the storyline.
I think there will be they have to find him too financially. I know
totally agree.
money is nothing because the guy is so rich and makes so much money every week. But from a club's point of view, in terms of values that you have, in terms of probably even some clauses in players' contract about attitude, behavior, what you can say, can't really say, and we will go through the Salah statement now. This is not, from a club's point of view, it's not acceptable.
You got absolutely, yeah. If you wanna set the club off on the right sort of footing, you have to have standards in place which everybody adheres to. Yes, you can have somebody that's a superstar as such, but it doesn't mean that they pull in their own direction whenever they need to. You know, like to do it in Salah. Like, I get it. Salah's upset. You know, if I was in his position, I'd probably be upset. If I was of his status, I'd probably be upset as well. But Salah barely speaks.
Yeah.
So for him to come out and speak, what's the benefit? What is from him saying what he said? Who has benefited from it? Because it's not him. It's not the football club.
No, but well, you say it's not him.
It's not him.
But I think he wants to leave the club.
Yeah, that's fine. But he's not left yet.
No, but this is, for me, this is it. I'm off now. Otherwise, he would have not. I don't think he would have come out like this.
Well, maybe, but unless he knows for a fact that he's got somewhere that he will go, then it's an awkward return.
It
after
is,
saying
maybe.
something like this. Because with fan bases, and we can even use a recent example of this Liverpool one.
Yeah.
Like, look at the way that some of them turned on Alexander-Arnold.
True.
So if you can do it to him, why would they not do it to Salah? On this Monday morning now that we're recording, if there's going to be a discussion amongst Liverpool fans about what Salah said, how many people will be prepared to support him? Because in some ways, if you support him, you support him more than the football club.
Yeah, true. But then even if you kind of blame him for it, which is fair, and I think 90% maybe of the Liverpool fans would do that. I think he did it like he talked a lot last season to get the new contract. I think he came out in a mixed zone where he didn't have to stop because he didn't even play a minute. Like you said as well when we were preparing for the show, at the end of that Leeds game, when he didn't come on, went to the away fans, the away stand, and was saying like goodbye, as in like, oh my God, like Emiliano Martinez did at the end with Villa, and then didn't get his move and then stayed. However, I do think that Salah's probably got a point where he's like, this is it now. I've had enough and I'm going.
Do you think 3 games on the bench should be the breaking point for any player?
No, but I think, and we go back to his statement. So a few of the big things he said was...
With a lot of them, by the way.
Yeah. The club's throwing me under the bus. They made me promises when I signed a contract, and clearly those promises were not hold or given.
Do you want to go through these one by one?
Yeah, let me recap them all for you, and then we go one by one.
Okay.
I used to have a great relationship with the manager. Now I don't have a relationship with him at all. I don't know why.
Yeah.
Someone doesn't want me at the club anymore. I'm not the problem here. So I will ask you from a teammate's point of view. And Virgil van Dijk.
Yeah.
Especially. And then his own future. You know, I've told my mum to come to the Brighton game. I don't know if I'm going to play, but I'm going to make the most of it. Blah, blah, blah. All of that. Let's start with the club has thrown me under the bus.
He said, did he say someone at the club?
Someone, yeah.
Yeah.
As he's go back to the scapegoats kind of feeling.
The discussion this season, in my opinion, has been one whereby Salah, by comparison to where he was last year, has been nowhere near as good.
Yeah.
And people have not decided, but they've pondered whether for the way he's playing, was a problem.
But do you think he feels like the club should have protected him, i.e. slot, maybe another player, maybe somebody higher than club, the slot? I don't know, because when he says like they throw me on the bus, I've been criticized, they didn't defend me, and then they put me on the bench, and then they left me on the bench, and then they left me on the bench again.
Yeah. I think if the leaving on the bench thing, I think is interesting, and I don't know if we necessarily agree on this, but like, in what scenario in any game state would Salah not come on off the bench? You know, whether they're winning, losing, whatever.
We discussed that.
He's one of the most experienced players, so surely he's a value somewhere.
So Galatasaray, which was the first time he benched him in the Champions League, and I think a lot of people thought, okay, it's a rest. He hasn't done too well. They've got a game in the Premier League the weekend before, then midweek Champions League, then another game. But Galatasaray, they don't play well.
Yeah.
They're not very good with the ball, and he stays on the bench the whole game, and then he kind of like storms into the tunnel straight at the end
he's not
to
used
go
to
back.
it.
He's not used to it. So already you could have thought then, weird, because, okay, you can bench him, but then you're 1-0 down, bring arguably your best player on to try to come back into the game, right?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't. This game against Leeds, like I said to you in our messages on Saturday, I felt when they're 2-0 up, you don't really need to bring him on, especially if you
But
don't
he still
want
could
to.
though.
Yeah, he could.
Yeah.
But clearly he
Doesn't
didn't want
want
to.
to.
Yeah, because
That's the
he could
point.
have done it against West Ham as well.
Yeah. And that for me, that's the thing that's interesting. Having seen this myself through my career, if you don't want to bring somebody on, don't put them on the bench.
Yeah.
So if
Because it's even more humiliating, right?
Exactly, yeah. And not every player will feel humiliated. Well, I'll be honest, every player in some way will feel humiliated by not getting any game time.
Yeah.
You could maybe say a second choice goalkeeper doesn't,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
for other
yeah.
people, you spent days preparing for this game and all you're doing is just basically being a cheerleader.
Yeah.
That's a humbling
Yeah,
experience.
Yeah.
And he's obviously not
And
used to
even
that.
more for him, yeah.
Exactly, yeah. He never does that. He's
Yeah.
someone that'll be walking off the pitch at the end, clapping fans because he's essentially done so well. So I don't understand why Slot would put him on the bench if he's not going to play him.
Yeah.
Because it'd be
I
very
agree.
easy to just put him on for, even if you put him on as a central striker, put him on wherever.
Yeah.
Because if I was a Leeds player and I saw Salah coming on, I'd be concerned.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't understand that angle of it, to be honest.
What about those promises thing? Because we hear that a lot from players. And I'm not
Waffle.
sure if when
I'm
you
not
sign
on
a
board
new
with that.
contract, it's...
Have you ever, like...
And I link the promises
Yes.
with something that I've forgotten already. When he said, I don't need to earn my place in this team. I should start every game because I've earned it already.
Yeah, that's big talk.
That's big talk,
That's
right?
big talk, yeah.
And it's a bit BS too.
Yeah.
Whoever
100%.
you are, okay, maybe not Messi and Ronaldo, but outside of them two,
I think to put some balance in that from his standpoint, football at its core feels like a game where if you train well, you'll be selected on the weekend.
Yeah.
In reality, that's the case for maybe half the team.
Yeah.
But there's another half who will always play.
Yeah.
And this is why we can have the stories about players, for example, who are terrible trainers but play really well in games. So where he's coming from with that, I think that's the type of thing which you should be able to think but not say.
Yeah.
Because the arrogance that comes across when you say that
I agree.
is insane. Because ultimately, it's like saying whoever else could play on the right, it doesn't matter. Because I've done all this work, I will always
It
play.
should be me. Yeah.
Yeah, and if he was playing week in, week out and playing well and training really well, and then as well as that, it becomes the example.
Yeah.
I think that level of like mental complacency to where you expect to play anyway, I think that's somebody missing the edge as such.
Yeah.
And for him to come and say that, again, this is one of the reasons why I think the club has to punish him. Because if somebody will say that and say the next game he's playing after he said that,
Yeah.
nah,
I agree.
that sets the tone in a really, really terrible way, in my opinion.
So that links before Slot. He also said, "I'm not the problem here. I.e., I don't understand why I'm
Name
benched
names
because
then.
I'm not the problem."
Name names.
If you're his teammate,
Yes.
and even if you're, one of his closest in the dressing room, and he will have some proper buddy, as you know,
Yeah.
everybody is super close. But
Yeah.
how do you react?
I think, firstly, people, because you spend so much time with your teammates, you know when someone's unhappy. They can't hide it, yeah?
Yeah.
They cannot hide it.
Yeah, definitely.
Whether it's the way that they try and train in, times that they turn up, are they leaving earlier? Are they
Yeah.
like looking a bit more disgusted? Are they quieter? Are they
Yeah.
louder? So I think for him to say, I'm not the problem, like, who's the problem then?
I know.
I think Slot was a bit guilty of this earlier in the season. Do you remember when he wouldn't name Frimpong, but
Yes.
against Crystal
At
Palace?
yeah.
But just describe the person that was playing right back for him in the game, making some mistakes. Yeah, I'm not going to name names,
No, man,
but
he's
the
that
new signing who's a
short,
right back,
quick,
but short,
on the right.
Yeah, I think he was in Germany last year, but I'm not going to tell you who it is. I think again, all these words that Salah uses, he's using them for a reason or whatever,
Yeah.
and he doesn't think he's the problem. That's fair enough, but no person will ever think they're the problem.
Yeah.
But then in the same breath, after him saying that, he has now become the problem.
Yeah.
Because as a player, when you come into training and you see him the next day, are you going to carry on like everything's normal? Hey, Mo, did you have a good night last night?
Yeah.
Are you ready to train? Should we go and do this? No. All of a sudden, there's this cloud that's over everything. And whether it's his football inside, this is just the actual side now.
I don't know if you can, and I'm putting you on the spot, so I'm sorry, but had you had at any time in your career something a little bit similar, or suddenly where that one player come the next day at training and it's a bit
outspoken.
awkward in that dressing room, it's a bit awkward with the manager because it's the elephant in the room and everybody knows you've said that, but nobody's really addressing it. You don't really talk about it. So it's there, but it's not really there. And it's so weird.
In terms of controversies like that, I've probably had it more so with managers or like there's a Scouse midfielder I used to play with.
Yeah.
He would regularly be saying things which would cause issues, to be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah, nothing to somebody of that level, not to somebody of that sort of like scale and level of importance. Because like for us on this side, it's a lot easier for us because they played the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He said what he said, and then we'll just see them on Tuesday.
Yeah.
You literally have to. Salah got on the team bus with the team.
Yeah, to leave.
You know what I mean?
Come back from
yeah.
Leeds to
Unless he's
Liverpool,
got a car or whatever. Let's forget that.
No, I don't think so.
So let's forget that then. So you arrive in training on Sunday, and you as a player know every word of what he said.
Yeah.
And you're going to try and carry on like everything's normal, whilst also adding in the fact that they've dropped more points.
Yeah.
That is so awkward.
It's so
awkward. Because only certain players, because I think Salah's revealed where he holds himself by how he's described himself at Liverpool. Yeah. So who's he going to listen to? How many players at Liverpool could pull him to the side and say, Mo, you shouldn't have said that?
Only Virgil?
Only Virgil, maybe.
Maybe.
But Virgil might know what Salah's like if you do try and pull him to the side.
True.
So it doesn't matter for you as a player what you think. You could think what he's done is the worst thing on planet Earth.
Yeah.
Who's going to say anything? The answer, nobody.
Okay, if you're Slot, then now going back to this, I used to have a good relationship with the manager. He says the manager, he could have said, Arne Slot, maybe not. But then he said, now we've got no relationship whatsoever. If you Slot, do you call him in first thing in the office on Sunday morning and said, listen, because for me, one of the key here from a Liverpool point of view is to act quickly as well. Because otherwise, this kind of brew, and then it makes it even more awkward, more difficult to deal with. You've got this Inter game on Tuesday night, and if they lose, they're still going to finish top 8. But if you get spanked 3-0 in Milan, then it adds even more to this kind of crisis situation that you have already a bit in a way. So act quickly. On Saturday night, I would have expected Slot, Hughes, Edwards, whoever they want, to have had a chat and said, this is what we're going to do. Sunday morning, Mo Salah comes into the training ground. There's a meeting with Slot, Michael Edwards, Richard Hughes, all the big deciders there. And they said, what you said is unacceptable. We don't understand it. We're going to find you a week wages, 2 week wages, a month wages, I don't know, whatever. We'll ask you to train on your own with the fitness coach. I don't know. I'm just saying this possibility. But certainly act quickly. You're not going to travel to Milan. You're not going to be at the game against Brighton. If you want to go back to Egypt now, you can do whatever you want, but you're not part of this week of work for us.
I think what you said is right. Like, it has to be done swiftly, because for every second where you try and act like everything's normal is sort of like the breaking of the foundations of the football club.
Yeah.
I think in some ways they probably would have dealt with it on Saturday night.
Yeah, probably even,
Because there's no world where you say to Salah, I'll just come in on Sunday, we'll have a light discussion then. Yeah. You have to put things in motion, especially because you mentioned like the fact that there's a game in 3 days. Like, they're in the toughest part of the season now where they're games. You have to be getting ready for the next thing. This can't linger on. I wouldn't have been surprised if Salah was told to not come in on Sunday.
Yeah.
I think, if anything, they would have discussed it on Saturday night with him extensively.
Yeah.
Because why do you need to wait to the Sunday morning to tell him that the situation is a poor one? So if he's not been training, that wouldn't surprise me. And ultimately, even if he was to have apologized on Sunday morning, I still think it's too late to where he can't be punished. He has to be punished anyway.
Yeah, true.
That's my take on that. And also, I've got to say, the relationship thing.
Yeah.
Some of this, Salah's an incredible player. I don't know him as a person or whatever, but there's lots of stuff which he's doing which most people I know wouldn't do.
Yeah.
And one of those things is if he says he's got a poor relationship with the manager, one of the ways to deal with that is to go and try and speak to the manager more.
Yeah.
But it feels to me like there's a sense of pride that comes with, well, he's not picking me, so I'm not going to speak to him.
Yes.
Because all of a sudden that's when a relationship can break down. Because it's not like they would have been texting each other, being in communication all the time and so on.
No, that's true.
So if you think you've got a poor relationship with someone, ask yourself, why is that? Is it as simple as, well, because he's not picking me anymore? Well, if that's the case, that's because of you, not necessarily because of him.
Yeah. So we agree there's no future at Liverpool for Mo Salah, right, after all of this?
I
don't know where he could go. Saudi Arabia seems the most obvious, especially on the money he's on.
I think it would need to be like a massive apology, for this to turn around. But also, would he be making the massive apology because he means it, or because he's trying to save himself some money?
Yeah.
And I think the Saudi Arabian thing, again, Beth was on FC the other day, and she said, one of the problems with Mo Salah, and as is the case with lots of players to a certain extent through their careers, when you're at the right place, your age and your price doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But when you're in your mid-30s and you're in all the money that you're earning and you need to leave, all of a sudden the places you can go to get smaller and smaller and smaller.
Absolutely.
So I think maybe Saudi Arabia is going to be the right place for Salah.
And on top of this, Liverpool drew 3-3 at Anfield after being 2-0 up with 10 minutes to go.
And then
3-2 up with 2 minutes to go.
Oh, when it rains, it pours, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And football can be very, very tough. You know, we've seen some teams go from being really, really good to like having some of these like mini crises and so on. But it's the nature of some of these defeats. And I think this is the same thing I said with City last year. When you're down as a team, the teams you play against are up.
Yeah.
Because they believe they can get something from you. If Liverpool were at their absolute best, Leeds probably wouldn't have been throwing everything at them.
Absolutely.
Because it's like, well, what's the point? But now people know that there's a weakness there, there's a flaw. Some players aren't playing to their absolute best.
Yeah.
So don't give up until that final whistle's blown.
Yeah, I agree. That was a bad result from a Liverpool point of view. Credit to Leeds as well and Daniel Farke, because that's the win against Chelsea and the draw against Liverpool.
And they were,
I've
got to say, they were very, very good against Man City in the second half.
They were very good in the second half, where they came back to 2-2 and then obviously considered that like goal. So credit to Leeds for that. And for Liverpool, as we've been saying, between Mo Salah and the result, things are really, really bad. And now it's Inter Milan in the Champions League on Tuesday night. Well, Ned, and on Friday afternoon, well, night-ish, it was so long that I even lost track of when it was in the day. Was it Friday? We had the World Cup draw. Hey, 2026 World Cup draw, yes. In the US, Mexico, and Canada. I think we all waited. We were quite impatient for it because it's the start usually of that kind of World Cup cycle, really. Even if there's a good 6 months between now and the actual start of the competition, it still starts now. Mm-hmm. Just a few of your opinions on some of the groups and the draw, including the England group. They will be in Group L with Croatia, Ghana, and Panama. Thomas Tuchel seems quite happy with it in a way. I think a few people saw that as a decent group, considering the top two will qualify directly, and then 8 of the best third out of 12. So 8 out of 12 of the third teams will still qualify. So you think England, Croatia, and Ghana will finish top 3 and likely all qualify, but what did you make of it?
No, I think they will be happy with that. It's not to say that the games will be easy as such, but you know, unfortunately, you know yourself that you need to play well at World Cup to get through it. So you can't just necessarily squeak your way through it. I think the game with Croatia,
which is the first game.
Yeah, they'll be playing very similar styles, but I think England have the better players.
Yeah.
So I fancy them to be able to get a win there. And then I think, is it Panama? That's the third game.
Yes, so Ghana second.
Yeah, and the Ghana game will be interesting because there'll be lots of eyes on that, especially domestically as well. You know, and it's a different type of game for England because the last time I think they played West African opponents was Senegal in the summer.
Yeah,
and they lost.
Yeah.
But I think that was at the City ground, so it won't necessarily.
Yeah, or maybe a Fulham.
Yeah, so it won't be easy for them. But a team that's got aspirations of winning a World Cup should look at that draw and say everything is going to be fine.
Yeah.
And they should be able to, for them, build momentum throughout the tournament from that standpoint. But as we've seen historically, like, teams that believe they can win and teams that actually do win can be two different stories, can't it?
That's very true. The England's pathway towards the potential final is in the side of the draw that they are. Could have Brazil, could have Portugal, could have Spain, through it, which might not be easy. They could have, I think, potentially maybe Germany in the last 16 or something like that. So it could be tricky. The USA and Mauricio Pochettino, who's behind you, Ned, drew Paraguay, Australia, and the playoff C of the UEFA playoffs, if you want. So potentially Turkey is the biggest country in there. Again, they seem very happy with that.
Yeah, isn't it true that Australia and Paraguay have also played the US in recent weeks as well?
Yes, in friendlies, yeah.
And USA won.
And Turkey too.
Yeah, and USA won as well, yeah.
Yes.
So this to me is like the definition of what could be a trap, you know?
Yeah.
We've seen this before. We've beaten them. Everything's going to be fine. And they'll obviously have really good following, especially on the West Coast where they'll be. But it is going to be tough, and I think people will sense that. And I think, for me, the way that a World Cup goes, especially if you're going to be hosting it yourself, you get a lot more casual fans coming across and paying attention. But where do they believe that the USA are in terms of their position within world football? Because these games against Australia, Paraguay, and potentially Turkey, for example, nobody's really going to know the in and outs of why those will be tricky games.
That's true.
But
then if they start winning, exactly. And if they start winning, they'll have
if you start winning. But all those games, I think if they're to win them, they'll be hard fought. There'll be no games which are easy, which for some might be difficult to understand. But they'll take that, they'll see that. And finally, like Pochettino and those others can start beginning to prepare that path. Because for me, hosting is great, but not having competitive games for a long period of time, it's an issue, isn't it?
That's true. That's very
Whereas
true.
other people are like fighting for their lives on a week-to-week, not week-to-week, a month-to-month basis in these games. well, they know now. They know their path. You can almost bring out that big bracket, the
Yeah,
wall,
yeah,
the
absolutely.
poster on your wall,
Yeah,
and start
yeah.
dreaming of your national team doing well. And I think the USA will be well equipped to get out of that group.
Yeah.
But still, you need to play well and sort of deal that pressure as well.
There's a lot of there's other really interesting games that the draw has thrown to
Oh, really?
us.
Tell me which ones
I mean,
you
there's
thinking
obviously
of?
the Mbappe, Erling Haaland clash between France and Norway in Group I, which should be fun.
Mm-hmm.
There's a Brazil-Morocco in the Scotland group, Group C, with Haiti as well. But that Brazil-Morocco game should be fun. There's the Germany group in Group E, with Ecuador and Ivory Coast and Curacao, which should be interesting. If Italy do qualify, they will go with the Switzerland game in the Switzerland group, for example. I think Argentina had a decent group with Austria, for example. But yeah, I think there's some really interesting games coming up in the group. And as we know, the real World Cup really will start from the last 32 rounds, right?
Yeah, it will. Yeah, I think this tournament's going to be. It's going to be interesting. It's going to be a test just because it's so many games now.
Yeah.
Whereas previously you kind of felt like things would accelerate very, very quickly. Like it's 104 games this time.
That's a lot, isn't it?
I think we'll probably watch all of them.
Yeah, we will.
But that's a lot of football.
Yeah.
It's a lot of football. And who would you say is going to be the biggest disappointment in terms of big nations, maybe that would be considered to be getting into the last 4 or 8?
I don't know. I think all the big, nobody is going to drop out in the group stage from the big
sure?
countries. Yeah, I don't think so. I can't see it. Not with so many people, not so many teams qualifying for the last 32.
Do you think to get through as the best third place team you need to get 4 points?
I think 3 might be enough.
Really?
Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Okay.
So a win, if you have one of the weaker side in your group, then a win against them, and then I think you're almost there.
Okay.
And just before we finish, I tried to find Nigeria in this draw. Do they have a maybe special draw later? How does it?
Listen, man. What I will say is that
I was just scrolling and could not find Nigeria anywhere.
As I said on the show the other day, Nigeria, I think is Venezuela.
Yes.
I think Trinidad.
Yes.
Possibly Jamaica if they don't make it. Shout out to Alexis. I think they're in pot 5. Okay, so there's going to be another draw.
Okay, another draw.
That comes after
ESPN
this. A special draw for all the teams that everybody loves, because I know, being from Nigeria, that everyone in Africa loves Nigerians. They've made that very, very clear over the last few weeks.
Nobody's too disappointed.
Nobody. I was in Paris. Sorry, for just quick story. I was in Paris for the Women's Champions League the other day. And I walked into a cafe and a woman was there. She says, "Oh, where are you from?" I was like, "Oh, Manchester." And so I says, "No, where are you from?" I said, "I was from Nigeria." She says, "Oh, it's a shame." I said, "Shame? What do you mean?" I said, "You didn't qualify for the World Cup, but I'm from Haiti. And we're going. But it's okay. Maybe next time," she said.
Oh, my, even in Paris, they throw you.
Complete stranger.
Not just me. Oh,
Haitian, complete Haitian stranger took me to pieces. You got to eat it. That's the way it is.
There's always 2030, my friend. Always.
Okay, Jules. Okay.
Enough World Cup draw, Nez. What about some quick hits?
Allez, let's go.
Arsenal suffered the second league defeat of the season at Aston Villa, Nez. Unai Emery and his boys are unstoppable at the moment.
Do you know what? I didn't see it coming, but not necessarily because Villa aren't very good. It's just more so I think Arsenal are very hard to beat.
Yeah.
And the manner in which they did it, the 95th minute, was a substitute, Emi
Buendia. Yeah. It's quite a big goal
win.
as well. Like, you should not really concede from any defense, not just Arsenal.
No. And what we're seeing at the moment is Villa are the form side in the division. That's why they've climbed up from the bottom 3 all the way towards being 3 points behind.
They're in
Arsenal.
the title race for me.
Exactly, and I thought Arsenal were clear. I didn't think Man City would get close. I didn't think Villa would be getting close, but somehow that started to tighten up.
Yeah.
So credit to Villa. As you said, it very much brings the title race into a discussion.
I agree.
But be honest with me, though. Do you think Villa are title challengers?
I think if you're 3 points behind the leaders, whoever you are in the title race.
Are you sure about that?
Yeah.
Whoever you are?
Yeah. I don't know for how long.
Okay.
But for now, they are very much.
How many points behind would you need to be for you to be considered a title challenger?
So I think if you're 6 and less, even 6 points at this stage of the season, you're still in.
Okay. I wonder what Palace are at. Are they close?
I don't think they're that close.
Okay.
But they're
But if they get there, that was Julien Laurens, everyone, if you have any issues. But anyway, it was an off day for Real Madrid, Jules.
It was, Ned. They played on Sunday night against Celta Vigo at the Bernabeu, and they lost 2-0. We saw them in midweek against Athletic Club de Bilbao doing really well, maybe the best collective performance of the season. This was a shambles. It was a shambles. nothing went their way. They lost Militao early. They had 2 red cards, Fran Garcia and Alvaro Carreras. They could not seem. They seemed to all just didn't know who each other were before that game. It was a bit embarrassing at times. And Celta Vigo are a decent team. They play good football. They scored 2 good goals. The second one where they actually walked the ball.
Doesn't look real.
Goal.
Yeah, it doesn't look real. Yeah.
It looks like a PlayStation goal. It looks like a video game goal. And I'm like, what is going on here? Which adds a lot of pressure again on Xabi Alonso. Next, Lionel Messi led Inter Miami to their first MLS title, the MLS Cup that they won on Saturday evening against Vancouver. And we also saw Jordi Alba and Sergio Busquets retiring from football the last game.
Yeah, if you indulge me here, I actually feel really proud that those guys took it seriously.
Yeah.
Because that league itself, it can receive some criticism. At times it's fair, sometimes it's deeply unfair.
Yeah.
But when arguably the greatest player of all time goes over there and it means something to him to try and win something, which I and other people have had the chance to do.
Yeah.
That's great to me because we've seen other players in the past and, he'll probably hold his hand up to himself. Like Ibrahimovic, he went over there, didn't really take the league with the same level of passion as Messi and some of those players that Inter Miami did.
Yeah.
So when they win it, and you see them celebrate.
Yeah, it was
like you've
genuine.
seen them celebrate before. Yeah, it's genuine. It's not false whatsoever.
Yeah.
And I think for Jordi Alba and Busquets and them to be able to win a trophy with one of their greatest friends and stuff within football. Even Mascherano on the sideline looked like he was nearly crying as well.
Was amazing.
Yeah, it's brilliant. But
yeah, well done to them.
Yeah, well done to them. Well done to you because it was a big win for PSG this weekend. But
I have to celebrate.
Oh, can I finish?
Yeah, go on.
But anyway, Safanov played and not Zabani, Jules.
Yeah, so this big win against Rennes. They needed a big win. 5-0. Kvaratskhelia amazing. Barcola very good. Chevalier is injured, so he's not in goal. So Safanov, the Russian goalkeeper, the number 2, comes in, plays, and as we expect Zabani, the Ukrainian centre-back, to play, he's not there. Officially, he's ill. But very quickly, there was a lot of rumors and maybe allegations.
Did you start these rumors?
I didn't personally, although when I saw the lineup and when I knew Chevalier was out, I thought, I wouldn't be surprised if Zabani doesn't play. Luis Enrique seems quite frustrated that people could question the fact that Zabani didn't play simply because he was not fit to play. I mean, I think even Zabani's wife put a message on social media, on Telegram, that was a little bit like, But we know that Zabani has spoken about it before. He's not happy that there's a Russian national on his squad for obvious reasons. So I wouldn't be surprised if Zabani didn't play for a reason.
Okay.
Not that he was not well.
Ryan
Cherki did Ryan Cherki things and Manchester City destroyed Sunderland. Ned, in case you haven't seen the Rabona assist from Ryan Cherki, please go and check it out. But Ned and I had special messages on Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, he was outrageous.
Wow.
I think in this game where Man City obviously played well to basically stifle the Sunderland side, but some of the touches that he had, it was so special and he felt so unique.
Yeah,
I think you look at some of the talent that City have had and the Premier League have had, but here's this 2-foot player doing what he's doing it and doing it so naturally. It felt at times like he was playing almost like a different game to other people. Yeah. And the assist for that Foden goal, I'm so happy that Foden scored that goal because otherwise that highlight disappears.
Yeah.
But instead, to be able to cross in with a Rabona, but then also not knowing whether he's right-footed or left-footed, but knowing that he wants to have a positive impact like that, it's an amazing goal. And the downside to me is that it wasn't a prime-time game, so everybody could have seen it live.
True, it was a
3 o'clock,
so the blackout here in England.
Honestly, wow.
For me, what sums him the best is in this Rabona assist is that, like you said, because he's ambidextrous.
Yeah.
He could have crossed the ball with his left foot as well as he did with the
exactly.
Rabona
He
back.
didn't need to. It's a great
exactly.
point. Yeah.
But because he's so all about instinct, for him, the ball was there. He just thought, okay, here you go. And it was amazing. Pep Guardiola liked the cross, he said. Not so much the Rabona cross.
Okay.
Which I think is probably fair. Yeah. Because had the cross not been good, I think Pep would not have been happy with Ryan.
Give him credit for, as well as he played on the weekend, it wasn't because of showboating.
No, true.
That was the one instance when he did something. That was the only instance, and it led to a goal. So realistically, you can't be too mad.
That's very true.
But Jules, the big clash in Spain this weekend was Betis Barcelona.
Yeah, it was, Nez. It was. And to be fair, it was really good. Although I didn't see this one coming. Barca were 4-1 up at halftime after being a goal down because Antony scored very early on for Betis. Betis would have been the 5th best team in the league behind the 2 big ones and then Villarreal and Atletico Madrid. But still very good. And I thought, okay, they're going to give them a test. And when I saw Antony scoring, I was like, yes, here we go. And no, Barca just thrashed them. 3 goals for Ferran Torres in a team where you still had players missing. I thought Lamine was outstanding. They end up being 5-1 up, and then
took a break.
Yeah, it took a little break. Conceded 2 goals in the last 5 minutes or so, and he finished 5-3. And I know Barcelona have issues, and I know they have this high defensive line that probably you as a defender would have hated playing on.
It depends.
Although you're so quick that probably you would
depends. If everybody's on board, then it's fine. It only takes one not working, is the issue.
But so I don't really buy the thing that they can't win big things like the Champions League with a high line. I think they might be able to. But in this game, I thought they were outstanding. Really good. Even with Lewandowski on the bench, even with Rafinha on the bench, even with De Jong not being in the starting lineup, I thought Pedri was amazing again. And this is a massive win for them because they're now 4 points clear of Real Madrid in second place.
I didn't see that coming, by the way.
A month ago, they were 5 points behind.
Exactly, yeah.
So in a month, they made up a shift of 9 points with Real Madrid.
And you think they're going to win the title?
I think there's too much work for Xabi Alonso to do in this Real Madrid team that is still up and down massively and too reliant on Kylian, who didn't score obviously today, as we said earlier. Whereas I think this Barca team, even with the issues they have, I think they look great. And I think probably with another Clásico to be played in Barcelona, by the way, let's not forget, I think it's certainly their titles to lose. Another game for Chelsea and Nedum, and another disappointing performance and result. What's going on?
It's a story of consistency, isn't it?
Yeah.
You know, for the way that they played against Arsenal, especially with 10, and the position they were in at the time, I think they were second in the league. Like, it's tough to not believe in them.
Yeah.
But this is one of the problems with young sides. Sometimes you see the highs, sometimes you see the lows. And also, there's the discussion about, well, what Chelsea like without Moises Caicedo.
Yeah, absolutely.
And you see his importance now. And fair play to him because, you know, once upon a time, you saw the price tag, and these days you see the value.
Yeah.
So it's disappointing for them.
Yeah.
To not be able to score as well is an issue. But
even with Palmer back.
Exactly. And to be fair, seeing Palmer come back, he's been out for a little while now. Yeah. So he's not going to be his absolute best for a little period. But I'm still a Chelsea truther. I think they'll be all right.
Me too. You know? But I'm a bit disappointed. The Leeds game and then this at Bournemouth, it was not good.
The Leeds one is... No, do you know what? They're both disappointing. I was going to try and shoot some.
I agree.
I'm with you on that. So Harry Kane started on the bench for Bayern on Saturday, and then thought, let me have a bit of fun here, Jules.
Yeah, they played away at Stuttgart, and they were 1-0 up at half-time. He was on the bench. Nicolas Jackson started up front, which I think is just a simple rotation by Kompany. And Stuttgart, to be fair, was still in the game at half-time. They were just 1-0 down and had a goal disallowed, and rightly so. And then Kane came on after an hour and scored a hat-trick. And you just watch him and you think, like, this is too easy for you. And I know it's not easy to score goals at that level. I understand it. But I'm just saying, when you look him play, when you watch him, coming on for half an hour and scoring 3, could probably have had 4 even.
Yeah.
It was just so easy.
Yeah.
He's just, I'm not sure if he's ever played. I know he's maybe not as fit as he was when he was 25 because he's 32 or 31, whatever. But I wonder if this is the best football he's ever played.
Yeah, do you know what? I think it might be, but then what I would also add to that, he's also playing for a side that probably creates the most chances in the league as well.
And super dominant, yeah.
Exactly. So then when you add in his quality of finishing, it will make it look very, very easy. Bit of a sidebar on Kane.
Yeah.
So for this next World Cup, we've been talking about how it's Messi's and Ronaldo's likely last one.
Yeah.
Is it the same for Harry Kane?
Yeah, definitely.
He's 31, 32 years of age.
Yes, in June.
So you won't be too old.
No, but
from that standpoint. But how does he get caught up in the same cycle as people who are nearly 40 years old?
Because I think I don't know. I see, and maybe I'm wrong. He might still be around at 36.
But will he be getting selected to 36, 37? That's the thing.
Yeah.
Because his finishing quality's there.
Yeah, the finishing, yeah. But I think fitness-wise, you could see already that he's maybe not as fit as he was 25. With Luka Lewandowski looks shape-wise and fitness-wise, maybe the same as 10 years ago. Messi and Ronaldo are certainly the same. I don't know. It's hard. But maybe with that kind of eye for goals, maybe you can continue for a bit. I'm not sure you can continue at the top international level.
We'll soon see, yeah.
Yeah, we'll soon discover. Newcastle bounced back from dropping 2 points against Tottenham by beating Burnley then. That was straightforward.
Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. But there was an Olympico scored by Bruno Guimaraes, is that right?
Yes.
So do you know the story of why it's called an Olympico?
Was it in the Olympics first?
No.
Was it in the Olympic Stadium in Rome first? No, go on.
So this is on a very quick search. So this could be Rock. I didn't ask Rock or anything like that, so I apologize. But It was an Argentine player in 1924.
Yeah.
Scored against Uruguay, who at the time were Olympic champions.
Of course, yeah.
And he scored direct from the corner. So it was called Gol Olimpico because it was Olympic. It was a goal against the Olympic team. And he scored directly from a corner. And
Amazing.
from that standpoint, it was then called the Olympico.
Thank you, I'm glad you came.
And if that is incorrect, Google. Google's the issue. Google is the issue. The big one in Italy on Sunday was Napoli versus Juve.
Yes, big game. They've had a few Sunday nights, massive games lately in Serie A, which has been great to finish your weekend, with a nice game in the sofa. Napoli-Juve, obviously the rivalry to start with, but also the fact that the Juve manager now is Spalletti, who won the title with Napoli in 2022. That the Napoli manager now is Antonio Conte, who obviously won a lot with Juve from a Juve player. So there was all those little narratives within the context of this big game. And to be fair, I thought Spalletti messed it up completely with his team selection at the start. I think he made a mess of it. Napoli were the strongest team by far in the first half. Højlund scored early on. They were in control. And then Spalletti changed things for the second half. Juve were much better. Jonathan David played. Kenan Yildiz scored again. And what a player he is. And at 1-1, I thought, okay, we've got a game here. And of all people, Højlund with a second goal, a brace, to win that game for Napoli, come back top of the table because Roma also lost at the weekend before Milan play on Monday night. Another great game, I thought. Another great weekend for Serie A in general in terms of maybe not so much the level on the pitch, but suspense. This title race is going to be great until the end, I think. And for Juve and Spalletti, it's a bit of a setback, but it's against Napoli away. So I think you take it. Next, Crystal Palace beat Fulham in the derby on Sunday, and they are now up to fourth in the Premier League.
Sneaky, eh?
Yeah, Palace losing to United, and then next we're going to the fourth.
Well, they would have felt they should have got something from the United game.
Yeah,
but it's interesting, actually, with the slate of games for Sunday just gone, they weren't necessarily like, say, Napoli versus Juve, for example. And the 4:30 game being Fulham against Palace.
Yeah.
Like, it's intriguing in some senses, but not necessarily something where you'd, in my opinion, pin the Premier League's hopes of people dragging people's attention.
That's true, yeah.
But maybe we should think differently because Crystal Palace are in the top four.
Yeah.
Given the fact that they've lost the fact that, the squad isn't the biggest of squads anywhere. And you can hear that from Glasgow now saying,
after the United game, you said,
should be more. But they're quietly going about their business. And I think in some ways, for as much as they're winning, I think teams are finding that they're a really, really tough team to play against. And when, I love it when centre-backs score late goals.
I know. Because they wrote their luck a little bit. There was that Smith Rowe goal that was disallowed.
Always need to write your luck at times. Yeah. But I think Mark Gahey scoring the goal.
What a season he's having.
Yeah, it's really, really, really good. And, I just think he could have been at Liverpool in the trenches, but instead he's at Palace.
Or he would have made them better and they wouldn't have that run.
Listen, either way, he's still in the top four. So,
things are... not Liverpool.
Things are looking good for him. Shout out to Mark Gahey anyway. Yeah. So it's another bad weekend for Nice. Another loss.
Yeah.
And the players making a point and fans still not happy, Jules.
Yeah, they were back at home after this crazy incident with the Ultras when the players were attacked by their own fans and insulted and punched and everything and kicked. They were back in there, loads of empty seats, no support really from the Ultras. There's still a lot of conflict in what happened on that Sunday night. The fans are saying nothing happened, we didn't kick anybody, didn't say anything. The players are saying, no, you did kick us and punched us, etc. Interestingly, so they lost to Angers, not a good game, a really bad defeat. The players were wearing shirts with Bogan and Mofi on the back, the names of the two players who were the most assaulted by the fans, their own fans again, on Sunday night. So toxic atmosphere, obviously, and I'm just not sure how they come out of this crisis next, really, because I've never seen anything like this at that level. That degree of tension between your own fans and your team is just incredible. Really incredible. Sonia Bonpastor is not unbeaten anymore. Chelsea were beaten by Everton in the WSL on Sunday afternoon, I think. 31 games unbeaten in the league for Bonpastor and Chelsea.
Yeah, it's outrageous, isn't it?
Yeah.
And is it the amount of games he plays in the 20s, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is crazy. And I think when I've seen Chelsea lose, I've seen them lose to like Barcelona.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I've seen them lose in the Champions League to like a team in the last stage of it. So to see them lose domestically.
To Everton as well.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
To lose to Everton at home.
Yeah.
I think there are times, the players in some ways, they almost look shocked, but so was just like the WSL in general.
Yeah, I agree.
Nobody has seen Chelsea versus Everton with Sonia Van Pastor as manager and thought, I'll tell you what, this could be a great day for Everton. Nobody's seen that. And even at 1-0 down going into the second half,
we all felt like, they're going to come back.
It's going to happen. The reason you think it's going to happen is because it's always happened.
Yeah.
So in some ways, you wonder what the reaction is going to be like for Chelsea, because this will be a shock to them, because this is a game that they should have won.
Yeah, definitely.
And now they're in a position where they're 6 points behind Man City, who are at top of the league.
Yeah.
And you can't really afford to drop too many points in a very short WSL
and they've won,
season.
like
7 or 8. It's more, possibly more, yeah. But, I'm quite happy with it. Anyway, so tell me about Yan Diomande, the Leipzig winger, Jules. He's a bit special.
He's a bit special, and I think we've mentioned him a little bit on the show already this season. But he's only 19 years old, from Ivory Coast, played for Leipzig now. They were playing Frankfurt at the weekend. They won 16, he scored a hat-trick. He's that kind of winger, like a Doku type, if you want, although he's slightly different.
Frame build.
That's it. That's the word I was looking for. But just, I think he's got everything, really. And again, he's still so young and still very raw in moments. You could see in his decision-making, in maybe some of the dribbling that he does a little bit. There's the extra touch too many, maybe, that he can... His game is going to be tidier very soon. But when he's on form, he's unstoppable. And... At Leipzig, they really believe he's the next big sell at some point. Maybe not so much this summer, I think, but probably the summer after that. Let's see at AFCON how he does. But he's definitely a name to remember. Diomande, so that's Yan Diomande, not the Diomande who plays for Sporting, the defender. No relation between the two. But this one, I think, is very special.
Okay.
Wilfried Nancy. We don't have many French head coaches in the top league, so I'm glad that he's there. Took charge of his first Celtic game, Nedum. How did he go against Hearts at the weekend?
Well, context. Celtic versus Hearts. They were on the same amount of points.
Yes.
Celtic had been off the pace until club legend Martin O'Neill comes back in, brings the joy back into the place. The fans are really, really happy as he's the interim coach before the next guy comes in.
Yeah.
Wilfried Nancy plays at home against Hearts for a chance to go top, 3 points clear.
Great debut, no?
And they lost. Just how you drew up your first game,
Oh, poor Wilfried.
Yeah, it's. I'm sure in time things will stabilise and it will feel better for him. But to be coming in after Martin O'Neill had been on a good run and, he had a chance to go top and basically set the tone. Like, if they would have gone top on the weekend, they might have stayed top for the rest of the season.
Yeah, you could see that.
Whereas now they're still chasing this just that little bit. And, the fans probably want to see a bit more, especially at home.
Yeah.
But, as I say, there's plenty of time.
First game, though, he just arrived.
Yeah, first game. Hopefully he gets a lot more games. But, if he keeps losing at home, he might not get many. Inter Milan faced an informed Como, and they believed it could have been a test for Inter, Jules.
Yeah, I thought so. And to be fair, I thought as well, Ned, because Cesc Fabregas has done really well with this Como team, top. And I know they've got money and I know they've got super rich owners, but they spend that money well on players that a lot of people watching the show or listening to the pod would not have heard of before. And he's made them really good collectively, individually. He's improved them. Nico Paz is obviously the main guy. And I thought, okay, this is going to be interesting. And no. Not this time. I think maybe a little bit too early for a young Como team and a young coach still for Cesc. But Inter were far too good. Destroyed them 4-0. There was no match. There was just one team on the pitch. And that happens. I think it shows how good Inter Milan can be, and especially before that Liverpool game that we mentioned earlier on Tuesday. And how Como can maybe hope for a top 5 finish, maybe, or top 6 finish, but just not ready yet to play with the big boys.
Fair play to them though. Like, I'm obviously biased, but Cesc Fabregas is my favourite ever Serie A manager. I'm just going to put that one out there. But considering that I think it was around this time last season, they were in around the bottom 3.
Yeah.
For them to be heading to Inter Milan believing they can get a result, and other people believing that as well, I think it shows a lot how far they've come in that time.
I agree. Tottenham finally won a Premier League game at home. Woo! Yes. And even Xavi Simons scores. So it's a pretty special afternoon.
It's a good goal as well.
Yeah. But I mean, what are the defenders doing for Brentford?
Sometimes you just got to delay.
Okay, delay, yeah.
And then sometimes...
I often wonder why they delay so much sometimes.
It's like trains, isn't it? Especially from Houston. Delay. Sometimes it gets cancelled, But it's the way that it goes. And it was a good result for Spurs. And I think if Thomas Frank would have lost to his old side Brentford in front of his new fans, I think again that would have been like a big mark against them.
Yes.
Let's not say that they would have been expected to do it, but we know Spurs can win games. They've technically got the best away record in the division.
They do.
So you think they'll be doing great at home as well, but they'll take that win. Maybe there's going to be, like it was goal and assist from Simmons, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So maybe we've got positives. Maybe they'll find consistency because you can't have 60,000 people turn up every week to watch their team lose. But 8 points from 8 games for a team like Spurs who are in the Champions League, it's not great, is it?
No.
But somehow, even though you're wearing the PSG shirt,
Yeah,
Lawns are still top of the table in
They
Liga,
are.
Jules.
And it's a great story. And I promise you, I don't mind this story as long as they don't win the title.
So you do mind the story.
No, I don't mind the story. And, Joseph Julien, the Lens owner, is a very good friend of the show. So we like Lens. It's a great story. They're top for the first time since August 2004. So it's been a long time that they haven't been in this position. They won 2-1 at the weekend against Nantes in a game where they were the better team. It's just it doesn't sound like a convincing win, but trust me, it was. And Thauvin scored again, and they've got this incredible momentum. They play a very demanding style of football with a lot of running, a lot of pressing, a lot of counter-pressing. But because they're not playing in Europe, it's good for them. They have a week to prepare, a week to rest until they go again next weekend. So well done to them. I just wanted to say another word that they are the Ligue 1 leaders.
How do you say nervous in French?
Nerveux.
Never.
Yeah, I don't think. No, do I look nervous right now?
You sound it.
No, if it was April, maybe I would, but no.
We'll revisit this in April then.
Carlo Ancelotti spoke again about Neymar. Nez, what did he have to say this time?
Let me read you what he said. I can't do his accent, I'm afraid. Nor can I say it in
Do the eyebrow. Can you do the eyebrow?
Not on purpose. So I owe nothing to anyone. I think that's a strong start.
Yeah.
I know Neymar is a big talking point. If he deserves to be there, if he's in form, if he's better than someone else, then he will go. To be honest, I think some of those things probably contradict themselves. Because if he's in form, but he's not better than someone else, does that mean that he goes or not goes? But anyway.
Very good question.
But anyway.
Loads of focus on Neymar.
Yeah, but credit to Neymar and to Santa's side that stayed up. Neymar's been in good form in recent times. Yeah. But, that tournament doesn't start for a few months. So maybe it's a little bit too soon.
Yeah, maybe. Or maybe Ancelotti knows he's not going to take him anyway.
Yeah, just playing the game for now. I wouldn't be Ancelotti to know politics, right? But anyway, speaking of politics, Donald Trump wants a new name for soccer, Jules.
Well, yeah, because we saw Rio Ferdinand at the draw saying, it should be called football, not soccer. And even the president seemed to agree with that and saying, we need to find another word for American football, as in their football, instead of calling it soccer. I'm not sure if we can help the president on this. I'm not even sure if he should go down that route anyway.
Listen,
it's okay if you have soccer and football.
If you want to lose your job as the president in America, tell them that their football isn't called football. Yeah, that's the guaranteed way to do it. I think in this moment, maybe he decided to be a chameleon, but maybe a chameleon at the wrong time.
Yeah, let's keep it as it is, shall we? For now.
Yeah, we've made it this far.
Yeah, exactly.
We've made it this far.
I think it'd be tricky to change anything now.
Yeah, let's leave it as is. Yeah.
Nels, thank you so much for coming all the way from Manchester to London to be with me this morning.
Pleasure's
I loved
on,
it.
man.
Absolutely loved it.
Pleasure's on, man.
This is it for the show today. We'll be back on Thursday with Gab to review some more football that happens between now and Thursday morning. And in the meantime, as Gab always says, love the game, love yourself, and love your neighbor, or something like that.